space. Before, we finally found a place that had been, a few places that had been used as a bed and breakfast, but it had the world's longest closing. It was like 2 months or 3 months, and it was just horrible. Meanwhile, Gus and I, two collectors, shared the world's smallest 2-bedroom apartment. And at this point, we filled up like, was it 3 or 4 storage space? It all fit in the house eventually, but we were left with basically the storage spaces were filled and the apartment was filled, and we were waiting to go to the house, and there was just one box that wouldn't fit. This big, I don't even know what was in it anymore. I bet Gus couldn't even tell you. I bet he sold it actually, but it was like this. There were 2 places it would fit. One was on the couch. So if you wanted to sit on the couch and watch TV, you had to put it the other place it fit, which was in front of our front door. Which meant if you wanted to go in or out of the apartment, you had to put it back up on the couch, which means we spent our day taking this box, putting it off the couch in front of the door, in which case Gus would say, "Be careful, honey, that's collectible." Or taking it, when you wanted to go out, taking it away from the door and putting it back on the couch, in which case Gus would say, "Be careful, honey, that's collectible." I mean, eventually we moved and got out of there, but like I said, it helps to kind of keep a sense of the absurd when you're dealing with this stuff, because it's sometimes stuff that nobody but other collectors will really understand what the heck you're talking about.
This is just a cute photo Kim sent of one of her kids with little Yoda.
Yes, every time we went to the hospital, the first time I didn't know he had packed it in my bag, and all of a sudden, the day we're taking my daughter home, he pulls that thing out, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" And he started taking pictures, so every time we had a baby, all 3 times, Yoda went with us, and it actually became, kind of fun. This was my youngest. So Yoda was there, and the nurses would be like, "Why is Yoda in there?" So, so it was fun.
Yeah. So for me, one of the best parts is just the memories that we've made over the years, the interesting and unique things that I've gotten to do and places I've been, and mostly the really wonderful people and friends that we have made along the way. So just part of what makes life so interesting and so valuable. The top picture is, you mentioned us in Barcelona. This is us at a convention. We went to Barcelona, and there's Bob and Pam and Duncan and yeah. So I think we have a few minutes for questions if there are any. Otherwise, we're just really thankful that you came. So did Star Wars take a in our weddings, and did what was the last part? Oh, do the children have any Star Wars names? The very first photos, the very first slide was, I can't go back. Duncan and I did have a little bit of Star Wars. I had Han and Leia on the groom's cake, and then for our exit down the aisle, we played the Princess Leia throne room scene music. So I threw a little bit in there just because that was fun.
As far as the kids' names, we did like the name Luke for a boy, but my husband refused because, Luke, I am your father, and all that. But he did end up we did name him Owen, and it really wasn't because of Uncle Owen. But he does have the name Owen, but not on purpose.
We had a Star Wars wedding, and it was actually my idea. We had costumes. I got to dress up like Princess Leia, and we didn't go for the whole thing where Arnie dressed up actually as Luke, so I know Luke, Leia, but it was the costumes we liked. The groomsmen were Jedis, the bridesmaids were handmaids from episode 1. The groom's cake was an amazing Millennium Falcon cake that this woman made for us with red velvet cake in the middle with great icing. Our cake had Han and Leia on the top. We had all Star Wars music. It was a great time. Everything about the wedding was Star Wars. Even like our wedding program had the Rebel symbol on the front of it. And we actually provided our guests with a frequently asked questions, because I know people probably that didn't know we were so into Star Wars probably walked in and be like, why is everyone dressed so funny? So we included a little bit of a frequently asked questions so people who weren't too familiar with who I was marrying, that they kind of understood. And we have 2 dogs. We don't have any children. And one of my dogs is actually named after Wolverine, so we don't have any Star Wars names for our dogs.
We actually eloped, but we were both poor grad students, so we cashed in all our frequent flyer miles and took our honeymoon in Spain, where we shopped for Star Wars Spanish cereal boxes. So pretty epic.
Any other questions?
How do you deal with what? You asked a question about masks. How do you deal with this mess?
Basement, and did you see the coffee and the beer?
Oh, the question was,
Don't forget the trips.
the question was, how do we deal with the clutter?
2 barns.
We just bought a new house with a 3-car garage, and the whole garage is dedicated to the collection. He's working on it. It's in storage unit right now.
Yes, your storage must be climate controlled if you're thinking of dabbling into this. But I think it's not too bad. I think if you set rules, like you said, you didn't want Star Wars in your kitchen. I mean, we've set those rules, but in my entertainment center, I've got 2 clone trooper helmets of FX sitting up there, but they kind of blend in. It's not too bad. I don't have, little vintage figures around, but we kind of try to keep it down into the basement so it's not all consuming.
Yeah, we have a separate space in our new home that's just for Star Wars, but our old house was a lot smaller, and it was infringing on daily living. And that was definitely a challenge for a couple of years, because I just felt like it was everywhere. But we find a happy medium of what you can live with, and negotiations, but do try to keep it out of the kitchen.
We still have Star Wars in our living space mixed in, and one thing I'd recommend, if you have to keep on top of it, if you ever feel like it's starting to get overwhelming, do you know that the show they have, I think, on A&E called Hoarders?
Yeah.
Watch a couple of episodes of that, and you will go declutter that afternoon, I guarantee you.
Any other questions? Well, I have the benefit that my husband likes to keep the Star Wars in its own packaging. We don't open anything, so you can't use the item. So in that way, we don't have to put those things in the kitchen, because they might get, something on them or ruined or anything like that. I don't know how other people.
We have a complete set of the loose cake pans, and we make Boba Fett cakes.
Oddly enough, we use Star Trek glasses. They were awesome from Burger King last year. They don't make Star Wars glasses like they used to. And he really wanted them, and I bought them for our anniversary. Of course, we have one set that we don't use because the dishwasher does take away the colors. Every time you wash your drink out of it, the colors kind of fade. So we have one set we use and one set that's in the cabinet that's perfectly mint.
When you guys find the figures significant other as well for their birthday and for their 10th anniversary, as a family, my friend, either our grandfather or watching anything, already bought it, I don't know why yet.
I think I can speak for myself. I was thinking of this earlier, that early on, I used to go crazy trying to find birthday gifts and Christmas gifts, something with Star Wars, but you can't continue that for the rest of your relationship. It's impossible. So it doesn't, for me, I don't even try it anymore.
I was instructed after buying things that, I already have this, and I finally gave up. I just get eBay cards, and then he can buy whatever he wants.
I once spent months looking for something that didn't exist, and because he had mentioned, and I misunderstood, and I spent months on eBay and Craigslist looking for something that did not exist. So now I just, sometimes he mentions things and I take notes in my phone or write it down and try to remember. But I try not to buy too much Star Wars, or I buy the stuff that I really, really don't like that I kind of talk about buying. There's a few lines, like those Star Wars marbles. They're kind of weird, they're kind of expensive, but that's the kind of thing like I buy something that I'm like, oh, do you need that? I mean, it's going to make your collection look nicer, come on. So I try to stay away from it, but I'll buy stuff that you normally would buy for himself.
Yeah, I just have to realize that I'm not going to surprise him every year. Sometimes I buy Japanese stuff, so I can sometimes find obscure Japanese goods that he doesn't have that I think are cool. But other times I'm just like, what do you want on Star Wars Shop, hon? And I'll go through and find it. Look, it's a box from Star Wars Shop. I wonder what you got.
I'm a crafter. I like to make things, so my solution is always to make him something that he can't buy in the store. So this year for his birthday, I made him a little amigurumi Star Wars crochet characters. So, oh, way back there. Okay. Worst Star Wars collecting nightmare stories.
All the fast food premiums.
I second that. Can you eat at Burger King?
No, or KFC, Taco
Yeah.
Bell, Pizza Hut.
No, the
You
years
know what
we
I
had-
learned? You can buy all those toys on eBay for like $30 and not have to eat the Burger King.
Yes. I cannot eat at Taco Bell anymore. That was just terrible.
He redid the roof while we were still living in the apartment and couldn't control these things. He redid it so it was so super airtight. We lived in Seattle. We didn't realize there was a mold problem on one of the walls. I lived in your own, despite the sometimes inconvenience of being in your own house and having to deal with it, it's so much better to be in control of this stuff.
A 6.9 earthquake in California, and the aftershock when I was trying to put things back up. We had another one which was like a 6.2 or something, and I got the hell out of there.
All right, I think that's all we have time for. Thank